Hello friends, we're going to do a drawing where you're going to create some snow hills with patterns on it. And so I've already drawn the line that are the snow hills. And so now I am drawing and thickening up these lines because when we start doing our patterns, it'll start to disappear. And so we want this definition of all the different hillsides to be more defined. This is part of principles when you do emphasis. And it also creates a balance because you're balancing the lines of the hills with the patterns. So right now there's no patterns, but there will be. So the next part is adding your patterns. So, don't draw with a pencil, draw with your marker. And do not use a washable marker because we're going to use watercolor on top of this. And it also smears. And so when you're doing this, don't bother with a line with a pencil. Just start with the first pattern and draw directly onto the paper. It's a challenge. I know this is frustrating. You cannot trace patterns this way. You have to do it by free. And so the first couple of ones that you do, you might want to do ones that you are familiar with. I like to do swirls. Because of my name being an S, there's always opportunities to create swirls. I usually, when I create a pattern, do the same thing, repeat it every single time. That way it's almost like a factory assembly line. And you'll notice that when I repeat a pattern, I always do the same thing like this. And it also makes it easier to finish. One of the biggest problems with doing a large sheet of patterns is reducing it down into series. And so here's an example of me repeating a series, and you want that design to be balanced out, feels like it should be that way. So I'm thinking of patterns that would work well together or would help create contrast. So pointy lines and swirly lines are contrasting each other. So now I'm just going to start filling up the hillsides. I'm not going to finish this in front of you. You're just going to see me kind of work through some of these patterns. And they are some of the patterns that you see in the photo banks that I have on our lesson. So kind of look at them, see how you could use them. One of the biggest things that I do is, separate them out into strips. You don't necessarily have to do it that way. You could create, a freeform pattern. This one's almost like that, where I kind of looked at something else and then added my own little twist to it. So just kind of like, once you've gotten used to creating a pattern this way, it ends up being a lot easier to fill up your space if you move fast. I know this looks fast, but you know what you can do. So do your own and use your own patterns if you'd like.